What is up, YouTube Nation? This is Havoc, the emo, the collector fiend that runs this scene, and today we'll be redoing the video I released yesterday. There was some audio trouble. I don't know exactly what went wrong, but sometime during uploading it, audio-wise, things got a little, um, so I'm just going to be redoing that, maybe just making that video a little shorter. So for any of those who watched my video I put out yesterday, thank you for your support and love. This will be the same video, same topic, same everything discussed, just going to be a little bit more clear in some areas. For those who haven't watched that video, welcome. So Tuesday we had our Haslab, and that's what we are going to be talking about, is our Haslab for 2024, which I did back. And yeah, we are going to watch the video that was released. You can find this video on Hasbro Pulse's website. If you go to back the project, this video's up. This video was up on when they did the reveal on it. So we're just going to watch the video. I'm going to share my thoughts and opinions on it. I'm going to talk about it from a business standpoint, a little bit from a fan standpoint, financially. Going to talk about it from what this may bring us in the future, and just try to wrap this up all nice and neat. So without further ado, let's get another video through. Alright, so this is the video for the Haslab. Let's give this a watch. And that was the video that they have for our new Haslab. Yeah, let's break down everything that we saw, and let's get this right through. So, let's start off with this Optimus Prime. We're looking at him in his base mode in all of his glory. And he looks cool. He looks really cool. Let's get in here on those details. Zoom up. on that face sculpt. It looks really cool. The head, it looks a little more toy inspired, a little more toy aesthetic, more than it does TV show aesthetic. But I have no problem with that. You know, it's cool. It's an Optimus Prime head sculpt, blue head, silver face mask, safe, silver face plate, however you want to say it. But no identity mistaken there. Um, but yeah, it looks cool. You kind of have that the gold effect on the eyes, which we'll get a little bit more into that a little bit later. Going down the body, you see his hands here. They're freed up, unlike the original toy where it had kind of the kibble or the truck parts kind of sleeving over it. Now he does have his hands free. They're not posable. You have a little bit of gaps that might be fixed, because this is a Haslab, so if there's some gaps that might be a little bit irritating for some, but if it's just that one gap on their hand, might not be that big an issue. Um, the detail on him looks really cool. I imagine he's going to be around the same size as base Armada Prime. Essentially, that this will be a commander class figure, but all around details are cool. I really like how they kept over the inner shin details that was on the original toy and then the TV show, and they carried that over. That's really cool. Um, I appreciate that. Essentially, they just took the original figure and they updated it. They gave it better proportions. Um, the tires are no longer going to be that rubber, but it's going to be that ABS plastic, so you won't have to worry about dry rot or anything. Um, yeah, it's essentially just taking that old figure and they're re-releasing it. Essentially, if you want to get that old figure, that you could, it's going off for from 280 to 300 to 350, depending on open, brand new. But yeah, it's getting pretty expensive. So getting essentially a better version of that for a little bit cheaper, that's always cool. But yeah, the details on them, it looks cool. To get a little turnaround. Moving on, right here, you see that he has his missile pads, which I think the original toy could do. I have the original toy, but I don't have the complete armor because I got this toy from a thrift shop, so I couldn't get the complete armor. But I am pretty sure that's something the original could do because those original car robots or robots in disguise toys were they were a piece of engineering, a piece of art. They were wonderful from every aspect. Their design, like the fact that a lot of them had not painted but nice plastic sculpted tail lights in there, were unbelievable. Um, so I'm pretty sure this is something the original could do. Before I go further, before I forget to mention it, these are CGI render shots. So they don't have a painted version yet. This is essentially what they will be looking like. So some details might change to the final product, but overall, color-wise, this is a very nice choice to go with. It's very accurate to the original colorations. Um, all very cool. That missile pad that goes up, that's a really cool little detail. Um, that's a very nice vehicle mode. That that is really cool for anybody who likes these fire trucks. This thing is awesome. Um, let's even rewind it back a few seconds. Let's try. I saw right here tail lights painted painted tail lights on a modern day figure. About damn time. Yeah, and you even get his freaking license plate there. Nice attention to detail. Finally, we get some painted tail lights. That's always nice to actually complete that. Um, the fire truck's really cool. It scales well, I imagine. See? Very nice. It doesn't necessarily look like molded plastic, just looks like painted, but again, this is CGI render shots. Um, looks like you have a little chair that looks like that would be that Micromaster scale or headmasters from Siege. So it looks like those little Siege masters, headmasters, Titan masters, Micromasters, whatever you have, whatever you want to call them. They look like they are in scale to work with this. Right here, look, you could see the little missile gimmick. The original one had these spring-loaded missiles, which were really cool. They'd come up, and then you'd push a button, and like four of them would spring out, and you would just get missiles raining down on them. This is, it's kind of the same effect. They just kind of fold up, and they're blast effect compatible. We just gotta face that black blast effects is today's modern transformer things. Um, spring-loaded missiles might be a little more expensive. People kept losing the missiles, and now with the blast effects, it's more play aesthetic, more photography aesthetic. So, we're just gonna have to face that's the new thing. Blast effects is a new thing, and I have no problem with it personally. So I'm getting around, but yeah, fire truck, very nice. This is something that was used in the show. This is something that you can use in the toy, as you see. It looks pretty cool. Let's try. I'm gonna try to get that. And right spot. There we go. So as you see, that's basically where it's scaled in the show. I don't know if that's where it's going to scale with the toy. I think the command center seems a little bit smaller when compared to Prime when you have the toy, but that's it's not too bad. Not the end of the world. Um, but I think the scale for this kind of switched anyway because I'm pretty sure I remember him using it as like a standing turret at one point. But yeah, really cool. The one thing that's cool about car robots or robots in disguise is this was the first one to canonize Optimus Prime be able to combine with his trailer and him having an actual base mode with his trailer versus the OG Prime just his it would split. He had kind of a little standing turret thing which his this actually homages. It has the two barrels. It's almost like his Prime's original turret. Um, so you can use that, and it's cool. The toy, it looks cool. Um, looks like you have these little turrets. Looks like they'll be on probably a 5mm port. I imagine is what I'm looking at. I imagine they're probably blast effect compatible, so they probably move around. You go blast some things. Looks like you got some chrome bits for the combined mode head, which also were used as the little blasters. Look like they're blast effect compatible. Um, it's early to tell on the hands, but with the hands having the barrels in them, which is accurate, I imagine they would try to make those 5mm to plug blast effects into. But also, that would be like really thick fingers, so I don't know. Maybe they'll get his own special blast effects for that. Again, you could see the chair for your Micromasters, Titan Masters, Headmasters, whatever you want to call them. Your little stairway here. So this space mode is compatible with that. You have your blast shield. All in all, it looks cool. It looks just like a basic combined together. So it doesn't look too complicated. It looks cool. And that is something that was used in the show, so that's cool for those who just don't want a bunch of random pieces lying around. You can get something that was actually used in the show multiple times for display purposes if you don't want to just, throw it in a parts drawer or parts box or wherever you keep spare parts in. You collectors, you. All right, let's or his super mode for Optimus Prime or Fire Convoy if we're talking about car robots. And yeah, this looks cool. I've always really enjoyed car robots designs for all their characters, especially Prime. Prime had a uniqueness to him, despite it being, still the red blue truck with little hints of white in there. He still was cool. He still had his own unique way, and I still liked him being a fire truck. Like nothing wrong with this, you know, semi, but I think Evan, I agree with Evan when he says he likes Optimus turning to something that could help people. Um, I get close on these details. He has the new head sculpt. Again, these are CGI render shots, so it might differ a little bit, but again, looking a little more towards that toy aesthetic than show aesthetic. I feel like this is leaning and it is bothering me, but still, head looks really cool. I think on the original toy, his little earpieces here that you could see, I think those were able to flip forward. I don't know if that's something that I'm just imagining, but if that was something that the original toy could do, I imagine this one can. Um, I've always liked this Satch, this commando, like Rambo, very much looking just military stash that goes across his chest. That's always very cool design with the, you know, pipes or whatever going across his chest. Very cool. Um, Improvements also were made when coming to the combination. You could see how clean that is. The original one, they just kind of like clipped over his hand, and you still saw his hand from the side and most of his forearm. So this actually closes off, so you don't see any of the original arm or hand in there, which is very nice. Um, the feet looks like it combines very smoothly. It looks like when it talk about the combination, it looks very simple. It looks like you just kind of take the foot, kind of slide it in there. It looks like this front part of the shin will be like folded down, and you'll just slide the foot in there. The back of the foot will look like it'll clip in somewhere or tab in. Um, and then this whole part will just kind of fold on top, and I imagine that tabs in somewhere up there to hold that in place. And you'll get a new ankle tiltage. Oh, and it even says right here, digital renders shown, final product may vary. So this is a CGI render shot. Um, but other than that, it looks like it combines the same way. I know in the live stream it talks about how he doesn't have um any sound effects, any digital things. A little bit of a bummer, not the end of the world. Like those electric things were never like a must-have for me, so I don't necessarily mind. But where he usually had the electrical pattern, he actually put in a locking mechanism, so when he combines, you could lock it in and it'll be more stable, which is nice. The ladder, I hear you could use as kind of like a support beam, so you don't have to hold all the way on his feet. Those feet look like they hold it, but it does look like you could use it as a support beam. And I imagine you could still sling it over his shoulder and use it as a water cannon, just like he could in the show. But yeah, looks very cool, very nice. The new hip area, making the hips bigger and wider, definitely helped him out in the long run because that original toy, he had very skinny hips and very skinny legs that threw off the proportions. Um, but yeah, looking really good so far. All right, now getting into Ultra Magnus. Um, cool, cool character. His design was always kind of off just because, you know, he's basically a walking combination. He's just a giant combiner element. So his proportions were off, but still cool. I like his vehicle mode. I think Evan says he could carry like 3 deluxes, maybe more if you're talking about mini bots. But it really much reminds me of that Siege Magnus. Looking at this, I feel like when they designed Siege Magnus, they took a lot of inspiration from this Magnus's vehicle mode when they designed that vehicle mode. So that's kind of cool. Um, um, and here we are at Toy again. His proportions were proportions for days. Um, he looks cool. Um, Again, he has a head sculpt that's more toy aesthetic than show aesthetic. I'm kind of hoping that changes. Nothing against the toy head sculpt. I just very much like the animation head sculpt, preferably just because it's it just has more seriousness. It has a lot more like more of a gritty, serious look to it. Definitely looks like someone who has a past. The chest reminds me of that Armada Red Alert, which came out after, this series. So that's kind of cool there. I always kind of liked the wings, although I don't think Magnus by himself can fly. I think they were just more of there for direction and um, symmetry, and just, I think they were just kind of there more for the general design, and they thought it looked better than just having it a cube on their back, which I agree. Forearms, very big forearms, very skinny. Top arms, upper arms, biceps, triceps, quadriceps, eceps, biceps, rotaceps, processors, rotors, whatever you want to call it. His upper arm. Again, it's the combiner element. His arms do have to fold around primes, so it makes sense. And he has very long shins, which again, that's his design. As much as his proportions are off, as much as he looks a little off, this is accurate to the show. As you saw, it looks like he came off screen. So this is all very much accurate to the show. It, you know, you can kind of see some of the combinations and transformation sequences going on here. I'm wondering about, because as you saw in the show, his like the back of the vehicle did transform and plug onto his bottom half to the legs. I'm wondering if that's something that's required for transformation because people don't necessarily like parts formers, and I feel like if you put a parts former in Haslab, might get a little dicey there, but we'll get more into that. So I'm wondering if that's something that will be required for the transformation. If it is, oh well, that is how he transformed in the show. So but yeah, all in all, it's that's looking good. That's looking cool. Um, we will get more into that, but these parts here, he does kind of come with kind of gap fillers for his legs, which is kind of cool. Well, it doesn't come with, like, you could use one of his accessories as a gap filler, which we'll get into. Autobot Blue Bolts. So they took Ultra Magnus's guns, and they made it into a target master, a weapon master, a weaponizer, an armorizer, whatever terminology you like to use. But yeah, we have a new weaponizer. We have Blue Bolts, who's going to be in a deluxe class, and you can the all just like our new Rock Lord characters that we have, and our new, well, I guess not Rock Lords, or Infernac universe, and our new Junkions, just the modulators that we have. You could transform it without taking it apart, I imagine, and then you could just take it apart to use it as weapons. He does come apart to fill in the gaps, so if you don't want Ultra Magnus using him as a gun, you can take him apart, fill up those gaps, and it stores very nicely. But yeah, it looks cool. Um, they just figured he has a big gun. Why not make it into a weapon master? There you go. Looks very much like a mini con. You know, it looks cool. He has elbows. That's always cool. I mean, for a deluxe class, he better have elbows. It's just kind of hard to believe this is a deluxe. Like, looking at it doesn't necessarily look like a deluxe, but it is. And I have no problem with that. I think it looks cool. Omega Prime. Okay, Omega Prime. Again, looks cool. He has the wings, everything looks together again with the new legs on Fire Convoy or Optimus. Proportion wise, he doesn't look too skinny in the waists. Um, it looks like the combination with Magnus will be the exact same as when combining it with your super mode parts. So that doesn't look like anything too different there. I imagine the whole combination sequence is basically the same. Um, but yeah, that looks really cool. Get a new head. Again, following a little more toy aesthetic. I mean, the toy and the show kind of had similar faces with that. It's just a little, it's more of like the lines and like the shaping might be a little bit different. But again, the final product may be slightly different. Um, you got some really cool chromed out pieces on the chest. We'll get more into later. But yeah, it looks really cool. All around, you got some really cool design cues going on. It looks like to be more like that blue chrome on the legs. Um, yeah, looks really cool. He's going to be standing pretty tall too. He's not going to be no short bot. Going to be pretty hefty in this mode. So yeah, combined, we got Omega Prime at 13.75 inches, so just over a foot long. Um, the Matrix blade is 23.5. 23.5 inches. That is almost a 2 foot long blade. That's big. That's a big blade. It is something he used in the final episode, but it is basically just Fortress Max's blade. I'm sure there's something you buy online, but if you wanted to buy just that knife online, it's going to be like a $15-20 accessory with shipping at the cheapest. At the cheapest. But yeah, we'll get more into that. And then we have the Space Bridge display, which is cool. And right here, you could see everything we get. See, Ultra Magnus is going to be a big boy because he's almost as tall than Optimus Prime in his super mode. So, um, that's going to be cool. I'm guessing Prime probably gets like another inch, maybe inch and a half. So he's probably going to be around. I'm guessing that Prime without his armor, he's going to be around that 11 to 10 inch range. Um, but yeah, all of them together, they look pretty nice. They look cool. Um, again, Magnus got those long shins. He ain't nothing but shins, baby. Ain't nothing but shins. Um, and big old forearms that make his arms look like they just want to give up and quit on him. But yeah, that is what we get. Talking about it, shall we? Let's start talking about this Haslab. Everything looks really cool. Everything looks very, very cool. But is it cool enough to be a Haslab? Is it cool enough to be $250 for this set? Let's talk about it. Well, I have mixed feelings. I feel like a lot of people got mixed feelings. There's a lot of people who got really mad that this is a Haslab and not a mainstream product. And there's a lot of people who are wanting this to be a Haslab. I was kind of hoping we'd get a Magnaboss or a Triple Pedicus, Triple Triple Edicus, Tripredicus, but he was called Tripoleticus in Beast Wars 2, and he was a different character. But 3 figures, 1 blade, 2 display cases, maybe more to come because we know how they are with Haslab. Most of the time, they only give us like 2 or 3 tiers, and then once they start getting more backed up, they show you the new tiers. So I imagine we're probably going to get at least some blast effects with this thing. Maybe a little Kai, which was their navigational system that looked like the girl. That'd be kind of cool. That'd be hype. But let's break it down bit by bit. First, we're getting the Commander Fire Convoy. Again, commanders today are $89.99, so $90. So for the 2 commanders, that's like $180 plus the 25 gives it $105. Plus, if you put in that Matrix Blade, that could be $15 there ish. You got the display cases. I'm sure they're probably going to put a big old fancy box and they might give us some fancy blast effects. So I feel price wise, this will all even out. Again, I basically feel that what they did is they took the original toy, they tweaked it, they updated it to fit modern aesthetic and modern engineering, and they basically just took that original, made it better. Now the original, I was looking up before redoing this video, and the original could go anywhere from 280 to like 350 for the original one, which by the way is falling apart. And that was the 250 was for an opened one. Or yeah, the 280 that was for an opened one. Opened. That's a lot. So people complaining that this guy is too expensive. It's like, oh, it only 2001 was 20 years ago. It's been 15 to 20 years since we've gotten these toys. That's a good chunk of time, and I realize that it's not as long as we got in a Deathsaurus or a Wing Saber, which were kind of hard to get here in America. And I realized a lot of people were wanting a Primus. But this is what we got, and I feel price wise, it's probably one of the more affordable ones. I realized that Deathsaurus was around the same price. If not, he was pushing that $300 mark. Same with Star Saber, but with Deathsaurus, he was just basically a commander class robot that just gave him a lot of unneeded accessories to give him to that $300 mark. They gave him a chair, they gave him like 5 weapons, they gave him blast effects, they gave him a $50 box that almost no one uses. It just, that one felt expensive. I think it's cool. I think it's really cool. If I had a more connection to that character, I would probably have bought it if I had the money to spare. Because I still have to rewatch that series. But this one, you get not 2 but 3 characters, 3 figures. One of them, that Blue Bolts, has that 5mm port system, so you could use it on your other things. So that's cool. You got that accessory part, that playability, and I kind of think of it essentially as a cheap masterpiece. You're getting Fire Convoy. So far, probably the best version of this you're going to get. Mainline, that is. I know a lot of people's like, oh, there's third party this, third party that. Third party has a big budget to work on one toy, where Hasbro has a big budget to work on many toys. So yeah, I think from a financial standpoint, this is evening out to how much it is. Why they're making this a Haslab, I don't know, because this would sell from a retail standpoint. Everyone knows like Prime will sell. Hey, sorry, my app cut me off while I was recording, started a new video. I didn't notice, went to go do some editing. There was a gap, and I am coming to fix it. So I was talking about why I feel they might have chose Omega Prime to be the Haslab. I was talking about how I think it could, due to their general size, the fact that they are two commanders in a deluxe, you would take up those spaces in the main line. Last year we only got two commanders that I remember. We got Motormaster and then we got the Armada Prime. So let's say they only do two commanders each year, which typically I think it's around 2 3. That's all we get for commanders. Armada or RID Prime, RID Magnus. Um which they wouldn't need to do because they just did a Commander Magnus. They just did a Commander Prime. Um So their trademarks are still good. They already got theirs part in Commander. What there's, doing it this early wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So they decided to put it in Haslab because they are coming out and they are doing more RID figures. So they just wanted to put him in here. That way he is not taking space from other people. I think it also goes to a trademark reason, like I was saying, because Optimus, his trademark's fine. It's not going anywhere. If they had the trademark for Fire Convoy, that would make a little bit more sense if they were trying to keep that alive, but they have Prime and they have Magnus. They were just released. Their trademarks are good. Um, Perhaps they didn't want to take it away from upcoming commanders, like I was saying, like let's say they want to redo their broadside trademark or Jetfire. It's been a few years since we've gotten a Jetfire or a broadside. And if we took those commander spots, then we could probably still get them, but they would have to be a leader or deluxe. And if we want to get an Armada Jetfire to combine with our Armada Prime, he would have to be around that commander size point. So if we released if we took away those spaces for those commanders, we would have to get some kind of deluxe or leader class Jetfire just to keep that trademark open, or they would have to do some type of Creo or something, and then their trademark's good for 4 years. So I think it might have to do with a trademark standpoint that they want to leave those commander spots open for other things because they already think about figures in 2025. you know, they already have a plan coming out. So I think that one reason they put him in Haslab so it doesn't interfere with their plan for their main line. Also, the Haslab that they might be thinking of, they might still be putting work in, might still be tweaking. I know a lot of people were thinking of getting a Primus due to that little video they were talking about having a Cybertron on top of their, I think it was B-Mac and Evan, having a little Cybertron on top of their desk. Um, they might still be working on that. So I think it's more of the fact that they wanted to get this character released because of RID, but they didn't want to put it in the main line because they didn't want to take up any space. And for two, let's say they release the Prime. People just want the Prime. The Prime combines with super mode. They think it's cool. People don't really think that the combined mode here, Omega Prime, they're just like, I like the super mode better. So they ignore Magnus. They don't want Ultra Magnus. They want just Prime. That means they release a Ultra Magnus, and Ultra Magnus by himself is not that great of a figure. Like he is designed to combine with Prime. So essentially, if people don't want to combine it with Prime, he's just kind of a grade B figure, and they might lose money by making a figure that people just didn't want to buy. So it's essentially just like getting a box set. They just thought, how can we sell both these figures? Let's make a box set. That way they could only have to make as many figures as them as they know they're going to sell. I think the reason he's Haslab is to just fill the gap. They're still working on things for their other Transformers, and they didn't want him to take up any space in their mainline because of their plans for mainline. So they put him here so people could buy it if they want it. People are interested in Omega Prime. They don't have to make more the Ultra Magnuses or whatever that they want to. It saves them from, if they sell this and it doesn't sell as many units as they're hoping, then what are they going to do? Repaint them into maybe the yellow version or the black version, and hope it sells better? I don't know. I think that it's more there as a gap filler. I think it's there so they don't have to make more of the Ultra Magnuses or whatever than they have to. And I think it's there just so it opens up space for other figures to come out. I think it's also kind of in their experimental stage. They want to experiment more with some of the paints, some of the engineering, which I think I talk about a little bit more in the video. So with all that being said, I am going to cut this off, put in the original video, and hope that everything goes fine from there. Another thing is they haven't done vac metal, because that's what we're seeing here is we're seeing chromed vac metal. They haven't done that in a while. So I'm thinking they're putting in Haslab to kind of test that out. They want to put out this vac metal out in a smaller proportion, seeing how well that sells, making some of that extra money. I think that they just thought that this would be the best way to put this out quickly. Whatever reason, I feel that this is at least affordable. They gave you till March, so that's 3 months to make $250. If you can't save $250 in a month for this, the struggle is real. I feel ya. I get it. Stay strong. Fight the good fight. Keep your head up. Stay positive. Peace be with you. And hope things get easier. But I feel that this will ultimately be worth the price you're going to pay for it. They wanted to take Blue Bolts, make it into a weapon master, because they had more of a budget to do that, and they wanted to fill out that price, so they made him a weapon master. So now you get not only a box set, you also get an exclusive weapon master and chrome paint, vac seal that you haven't seen since the 90s. So 90s childs are going to lose their shit. 90s and early 2000 kids are going to lose it. And that's another thing. They're practicing on vac metal. They want to have that big budget so they could do that, try to perfect that, because I think they are trying to put in the works so we can finally get our Transmetal Beast Wars. Come on, you can't tell me BMAC is not gunning for a Beast Wars Transmetal Megatron. It's going to happen. It is going to happen. That vac metal is opening up a door. Not opening up, but punching right through it, kicking it down, getting right into it. It's a Haslab. People might not want it, but it opens doors. It leaves doors open. Again, if you put this out in the main line, people might not buy every part of it. It will take away from other things. And if you take away other things, the only way they would be able to keep that trademark is if they use it in a smaller or less toy elegant thing, like a Creo or something, or making it in a Haslab. I am ranting. I am ranting again. So yeah, that was. I'm gonna start wrapping this up with my final thoughts. Yeah, we already talked about it with that tier 1. We got that Matrix Blade. We're getting those really cool global space bridge things. It would be cool for photography, for stop motion. You're having a really cool figure, which basically seems like a updated original for slightly cheaper than if you would get the original with some more bells and whistles. They're having vac metal, which is I'm excited about. It's updated, it's tweaked. Essentially, you're getting a cheap masterpiece, a cheap mainline masterpiece. That's the best way I could put this. And I'm excited for it. Some people are mad, some people are glad, some people whatever, but that's the great thing about these Haslabs. If you don't want it, don't buy it. They don't have to make it if you don't buy it, you know? But I think all that being said, what do you guys think? What do you guys think the Haslab should have been? Again, I really, I don't mind this, but I would have preferred a Magnobus or Jeopardigis. But Fighter Convoy is fun. This is a cool figure. This is a cool little box set, and I'm excited to see where this goes and what doors this open. And I'm excited to see what things that they felt deserve to take the spot of Commander for these years instead of these guys. So that all being said, oh, another thing that this might leave the open door, and we all see this coming. All kinds of combination sequences. We're going to be getting power links. It's going to happen. Maybe I feel like by the end of 2024 or beginning of 2025, we're going to get a power links figure or Energon. But it's we're getting a figure with power links capability. But all that being said, I'll wrap it up. I will stop rambling because I'm going too much now. So this is Havoc the Emo saying, remember, there's nothing wrong with being a geek as long as you're feeling free and you're feeling you. Do what you want to do what you can do. Don't let anybody tell you you're too old to play, collect, or have fun. Until next time, YouTube Nation. Peace.